loops generally. Sure. Then then I'm also going to talk about I talk a bit about big int and symbols. Okay, so that's it. Of course, my name is Victor. You guys already know me, right? So those are the topics we are going to treat. So if you are going to look at it as a list, then this is it. These are like all the topics we are going to talk about today, right? So we'll talk about null, undefined. What is the difference between null and undefined, right? Then this map is the array map, the map used for array, right? Then we'll talk about for each. Then we'll see how we can filter an array, right? Then after filtering, we'll see how, I would also explain again how for loop works. Then we'll look at while loop and do while loop and what's the difference between while loop and do while loop, okay? So those are like what we are going to do. All those we are going to do today. Okay, so let's start with null and undefined, right? Null and undefined are similar, right? When you say something is null, right? They too just signify that something is empty. What they stand for is just being empty. But there is a little difference between both of them, right? The little difference is that um, undefined is assigned to a value, to a variable, when you are declaring it without assigning it a value that first time. Okay, but then um, null is used when you want to purposely make something empty. You can also use undefined for the same thing, right? So you can use either null or undefined for exactly like the same thing, but one key difference about both of them is that undefined is automatic when you create um, a value, a variable that doesn't have any value. That's the difference between both, okay? So let's switch to our VS Code. So let me do that quickly. Um, so, okay. So let me share my VS Code. Okay, so we are finally here. I hope you guys can see my screen. Anybody seeing the VS Code?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, cool, come. All right, so
Please, can you make
let's
it
see.
bigger?
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, I think that should be big enough. So you can check, you can check the two of them. Is it true that null is equals to undefined? Of course, that should give us true. Yeah, so null and undefined is basically like the same thing, right? It's basically the same thing, right? Um, but let's do this, right? If we said let a and we console.log a, so what would the value of AB, will it be null or will it be undefined?
Undefined.
Okay,
Undefined.
cool. Okay. Yeah, so it's going to be undefined. But then if I want it to have the value of null, right? I could assign it to the value of null, right? And it will be null. I can also do is equals to undefined, right? And it's still going to be undefined. Now, so if you don't write a is equals to undefined, when once you just say let a, right, the when this is being processed, a will just be automatically given the value of undefined. Okay, so and undefined just means that it's like empty. Null or undefined means that something is basically empty. So that's the use of that, null or undefined. So another way you can use it is you can say let a equals to 5 here, right? But then you want a, maybe after using it here, maybe let's say at this point you can say let a be equals to null, for example. Okay, so that's like in a way kind of on setting, like removing what you've set before. Okay, so here a was 5, now a is null. You could also still, I think it's possible to use undefined too at this point. Yeah, you can also use undefined too or no, right? It just depends on like you, whichever one you want to use. But then I think null is a better option than undefined if you want to change a variable that already has a value to not having any value any longer. You can do that. Okay. Then so let's continue. Any question on that?
Yes. Why does the 5 still show up? I was thinking it shouldn't even show up again since it's now null or undefined after the second.
So okay, so the thing is here first in line 1, we said a is equals to 5. Then we are logging out the value of a before setting it to undefined. So right from here to this point, right, a is still going to have the value of 5. But when once we pass line 5 and we keep executing down, we've reassign a to have the value of undefined. So as we keep going down now, a will now become undefined. So remember that this is um, reassigning the value of a to being undefined instead of being 5. I hope you understand now.
Yes, I do. Thank you, sir.
Okay, cool. Any other question?
Yeah, sorry. What's the function of the undefined? Because I see it's a JavaScript word or something.
Here is a type. Yes.
Okay.
It's a data type. Yes.
Okay, it's a data type. Sorry, can
Yes.
you explain what it does again?
So the null or undefined, both of them are used to signify that something is empty, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so each time if you declare a variable without assigning it a value, like for example, we said let a now, right?
Yeah.
This automatically means a is equals to undefined, whether you write it or not. As far as we just write let a, if we try to log out the value of a now, also the log a now, right? You see
Yeah.
that it has the value of undefined. So when once you declare a variable and you don't assign it a value, then an automatic value of undefined is assigned. It's just like saying the A is empty, right? It's just like giving it a I don't know how to put it. It's like creating vacuum and then you pump air into that vacuum, but you can't see air now. So even if you look at the vacuum, right, there is nothing inside, whether there is air inside or there is no air. It's
Okay.
kind of like that. So
Oh, all right.
wait, yeah. So when you say let a, it's what Node.js means is a should be equals to undefined. A is undefined. So it's just going to take it that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, cool. No other question. Any other question? Okay, so let's move to map, right? Let's see how map works. Now, the array map is used to look through something, right? We have for each and we have map, and they behave similarly, but there's a difference between both of them, right? And we are going to see the difference between both of them now. So I remember doing something like this. Const, I could say fruits. Let me use fruits this time. Fruits. Then I could say orange. Let me just use this orange, banana, um, pear, right? Um, mango. I think that's okay, right? And um, I want to look through all this using a normal for loop, right? If I want to look through that using a normal for loop, this is what I would write. I would write for let let I equals to 0, I is less than fruits dot length I plus plus. So what I'm effectively trying to say, I want to explain the for loop before entering for each and map first. Let's start with the for loop. Now, for people that don't really understand how for loop works, right? What I'm putting here is where do I want to start looping from? What number? And this is always going to be a number, okay? Where you want to start, what number do you want to start to loop from? Do you want to start to loop from 1 downwards or upwards, right? Do you want to start from 2? Do you want to start from 0? So that is up to you to fix. You can decide that you want to start from 1. Let's say you want to count from 1 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want to output that. You can start looping from 1 to 10. You can start looping from 0 to 10, right? It depends on you. You can start looping from -5 or whatever number you want to start looping from. You can start looping from 100, right? So that's where that comes in. Then here is usually the condition that you want to be true for that loop to continue running. Okay, remember what I said about if statement. If you have if and else statement, right? The condition you're checking the if statement, if it is true, the if block is going to execute. But if the condition is false, then the else statement, right? The else block of code is what is going to be executed. Now, here, for this loop to keep running, right? For this loop to keep running, whatever condition you put in here has to always be true. It has to be true. When once this condition evaluates to being false, that loop is going to stop running. Okay? So now I'm saying where I is less than the fruit dot length. So 0, for example, is less than the length of this fruit. The length of this fruit is the total number of elements inside this fruit, and we see it is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is like saying checking if I is less than 4, because we have 4 elements inside this array, right? So 0 is less than 4, 1 is less than 4, 2 is less than 4, 3 is less than 4, but 4 is not less than 4. So this array is this function is going to run um, 3 times. It's going to run for 0, it's going to run for 1, it's going to run for 2, for the value of 2. That's where I is 2, and it's also going to run when I is 3. But when once I becomes 4, then this this value here is going to evaluate to being false, and then the loop will stop. Then now, how do we increment this the value of I each time we run it? This is where we increment it. We say I plus plus. So after now, if a loop runs for 5 times, each time that loop runs is that instance at which the loop runs, like each instance the loop runs, that instance is called an iteration. So if I said, instead of me saying the loop ran 5 times, I could say the loop made 5 iterations, right? So each iteration is um, the it's that particular time, or let's say the time that loop runs, right? So this is how it's spelled: iteration, right? So if let me just let me log out what is going to be printed, right? Let me just log out I console.log I, right? And then let me just run this loop like as it is. Node index. You see, this prints out 0, 1, 2, 3. Now let's break down what is happening in this loop. Let's really break it down. At first, let me make a table, right? Or let me just say, at first, I is equals to 0, right? When I is equals to 0, this is true. 0 is less than fruit.length, right? So I is 0 at that point. Then what next do I do? Um, would the loop run, right? Yes. So um, the loop runs, right? Then after the loop runs, we increase I by 1. That's where this I plus plus is doing, right? Then the next time I will be equals to 1. Let's see, the loop also runs at this point. Let me make this look better. Okay, the loop runs at that point. Then we increase I by 2 by 1 again, right? Then at this point, I becomes 2, right? We check again, is this true, right? Is 2 less than the length, which is 4, right? So this loop runs again. After the loop runs, would increase I by 1. Now notice it must not always be I plus plus. You can increase I by 5, you can increase I by 2. If you want to increase it by, let's say, 2, you would say I plus equals to 2. I plus equals to 2 is going to increase it by 2. Okay, but you can also say I plus equals to 1, but that's the same thing as just writing I plus plus instead. Then here we check, after increasing by 1, I becomes 3, right? I equals to 3. Then after I equals to 3, we check here, is 3 less than 4? Yes, 3 is less than 4, so the loop runs. Then after the loop runs, we increase I by 1. Now, the value of I becomes 4. We check, is 4 less than 4? No, so loop breaks. Let's say loop breaks, or loop stops running. Then no increment. Okay, so when I is 4, that's why this thing stopped printing at this point, right? That's why this stopped printing at that point, because I I became 4 and 4 is not less than 4, but 4 is equals to 4, right? So if you want to print to the end and you want to include the value of 4, what you will do is I less than or equal to 4. If you come back here and we say node index, now you see it runs up to 4 and it includes 4 too, because at this point it's going to check is is 4 less than 4, right? At this point here, when we reach I is equals to 4, we'll check, is 4 less than 4? No. But is 4 equals to 4? Yes, 4 is equals to 4. So at this point, it will, the loop runs, and then after the loop runs, we'll increment again by 1. Then at this point, I will be equals to 5, right? Then we will check, is 5 less than, is 5, sorry, yeah, is 5 less than 4? No. Is 5 equals to 4? No. So the loop now breaks. Then after the loop breaks, there's no increase here, right? Because there is no need for us to proceed. There's no need for the loop to proceed again, right? Does anybody understand what I've done so far? Any question? Hello?
No question, sir.
Okay.
And there's a
As
question, no, please explain again, I beg. Please, there's a question.
Hello, sir.
okay, okay, I'll explain it again. Yes. Someone has a question. What's your question, please?
Okay, what if you do I plus 2? Will it still run to this 5? If you were doing here I plus 2, would it run to this 5? Or they will stop somewhere? Or? I don't understand that area.
Okay. I get
Yes,
your question. So it's going to stop at 4 because when I is 0, right, and it brings 0, the next time I will become 2, right? Then after that, I will now become 4. Then after 4, I will become 6, but 6 already is greater than 4, right? So it's not going to run. If I said I plus equals 2 and I run it, you see? So let me explain what is happening here now. Let me shift that one down, right? Let me shift it down. Now, at this point, right? I is equals to 0, right? I is equals to 0. 0 is less than um, 4, right? Because this is the length of the fruit, 4, right? Then we would say, since it's less than 4, since 0 is less than 4, run the loop. Then after that, increase I by 2. Then here, the value of I will become what? What would the value of I be? Anybody?
It will become 2. It will
2,
become
2.
2.
It will become 2.
Yes.
So now the value of I is 2. 2 is true that 2 is less than 4, which is the length of this array, right? 2 is less than 4, so that is true. So we'll run the loop again. After running the loop, what next do we do, right? We increase I by 2, Abi? Then after that, here I now will be equals to 4. Now we'll check, is 4 less than 4? No, 4 is not less than 4, but is 4 equal to 4? Yes, 4 is equals to 4. Because we remember we are using less than or equal to here. So if something is not less than, so if what you're comparing, if I is not less than like this length, which is 4, then we'll then check again if I is equals to 4. So I is not less than 4, but I is equals to 4. So since that still resolves to true, we'll run the loop. Then after running the loop, we'll increase I by 2 again. So at this point, I now becomes 6. We'll check, is 6 less than 4? No. Is 6 equals to 4? No. So the loop breaks. Then nothing happens here. But had it been I remove that greater than, less than or equal to, and I leave it as less than, what is going to happen? What will be the result?
2, 0 and
It
2.
will stop at 2.
It will stop at 2. Okay.
Yes.
Why does it stop at 2?
Because
the length of the element, like the element in the array is only 4.
Uh, yeah, the element is 4, but the condition doesn't hold true when I becomes 4. So if we run that code, node index, right, we only have 0 and 2. Now, why is this happening, right? Let me delete this. When I is 0, yes, check if 0 is less than the length, right? Then after running it, increase by 2, I becomes 2. You check is 2 less than 4, yes, then run the loop and increase I by 2. At this point, I will be equals to 4. And after I is equals to 4, we check, is 4 less than 4? No, 4 is not less than 4, right? And we are not also checking 4 is equals to 4 here because we are only using less than. So we are just checking, is 4 less than 4? No, 4 is not less than 4. So you break the loop. After breaking the loop, no increase here. So I becomes 4, but it's not going to, it's not going to run, this loop or this iteration. I was supposed to name this an iteration, sorry. Break the whole loop, sha. Sorry, someone is, mute yourself. Sorry, someone is James Kayode. Kindly mind mute yourself, please. Thank you. Okay, so here at this point we have only 2 iterations we run, and then after that the loop breaks. So that's how your for loop run works. Okay. Any other question? Any question?
Okay, so I want to ask, if in this your array you have 10 elements, or let me say 15 elements, and you do and for the, you want to like write the code, you then use I plus equals to 5. Will it be giving the numbers, will the output be in 5, like 5, 10, 15? Because now
You
it's
mean
giving,
you mean if I have 2 like this, right? And I said I plus equals to 5.
yes, if you have I plus equals to 5, but the elements in the array 10, or let's say 20 elements in this array, in this particular example you're giving now, with the output
So
or with the iteration.
So the output is going to be only 0 because we are increasing by 5, and then it will check if 5 is less than 4, which is wrong, which is false. So it will only print out 0 if we run it. So now let me show you how you can print out the value of your array by using this I. I hope you know that these arrays are 0 index, so which means orange has the index of 0, banana has the index of 1, pear has the index of 2, and mango has the index of 3. So if you want to print out their value, you can simply say fruits at I, and if you say fruits at I and come back here and run your, okay, let me change this to I plus plus. If you come back here and run your code, you see mango, banana, orange, banana, pear, and mango, right? And the reason you need to loop through your arrays, you want to get the elements in your array. You don't want to show the array, right? The raw array to your users, right? You want to get the elements of those arrays and show it to your user. Now, this can be used in this case when you have an array of objects, right? I know I treated objects where I did something like this. I said maybe uh, uh, I said let user equals to um, then I could say the name should be Vic, something like that. I remember doing something like that, right? We can have an array of objects here. So inside here, we can have the name of the fruit, or I could say fruit name, right? So banana, location, maybe Rio, something like that, right? I want to look through and print out the the fruit name and location of 4 fruits. So let's say I have pear in Lagos. I have mango in Cross River, and I have pawpaw or yeah pawpaw in Kaduna, right? If I want to print the name and the location, this is what I can do. I could say something like this. Now I want to get the name, so I'll say fruits I dot name or fruit name, right? Then I could do something like is in. Then I could then write fruits at the iteration at that iteration dot location. If we come back here and run the code, see banana is in, okay, I didn't keep space here. So banana is in Rio, pear is in Lagos, mango is in Cross River, and pawpaw is in Kaduna. You see how everything is working out, right? You can look through to get this. Now, let me take it back to, let me copy this and let me take everything to how it was before, right? And then let me show you how for each works. Let me keep this somewhere, although I won't use it for now. Right, let's focus on this. I've commented everything here, so don't worry about it. So how do we use for each? Now, a simpler way to look through this, let me delete all I've written here. A simpler way to look through this array would be to write fruits dot for each. Then inside now, notice the way I'm naming my array. I said fruits because your array name always have to be in plural form. Not because if you use singular it won't work. You use singular, but it's an array, right? When you say some you have a collection of items, you'd say items, right? You not say a collection of items. You say a collection of items. So it's the same thing here. You have an array of fruits instead of array of fruits, right? So you said the fruits, which is the array for each. Then inside here, you pass um, the singular form of the array. So you can say
Argument.
yeah fruit, sorry, yeah, you pass in the singular form of the value. Now this fruit you're passing here is going to get the singular, like per iteration, right? Per iteration is going to get the value for each. So at the first iteration, this fruit will have the value of orange. At the second iteration, this fruit will have the value of banana, like that, like, and so on and so forth. So you can do this. You can say function. Then inside this function, you say fruits, right? And then do this. You say console.log fruits, Now, if I come back, oh, sorry. Did I say fruits? Fruits. And then here I'll say fruit. So if I come back here and run node index, you see, it gives us the same value, right? You can concatenate it with what you want, whatever you want. You could do something like this. Um, I have, right? I have fruits. So it will show I have mango, I have banana, I have pear, and I have mango. Okay? But then, and you can do whatever I want to do. Now, what if it was, now this is just an array of strings, right? What if it was an array of objects the other way around, right? So instead of us having fruit like this, let me comment this and bring this one down here. So let's say we had our fruit, right? Array containing objects alone. So fruit is equals to this at the position of 0, this at the position of 1. Let's just run this loop and see what is going to print. So if we write node index, see, I have, then it shows everything like this. I have the each of the objects, right? But this is not what we want, right? So if you want to get each of them, if you want to get each of the, like, the fruit name and the location, and you want to look through them, you just simply write fruit name, right? Then I could do something like this. Then fruit dot location. So let me clear this out. Then let me come back here. See, I have banana in Oyo, I have pear in Lagos, I have mango in Cross River, I have pawpaw in Kaduna. So this is a simpler way of looping through, right? Is there any question? Who has question? No question.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
no question. Yeah,
yeah. Do this one do concatenation doesn't come in here in this
you
one?
can use concatenation. Yes, you can use plus. You can use plus, right?
So,
Remember
but
that.
okay,
Remember that your console.log accepts comma if you don't want to concatenate. So depending, even if you used your normal for loop, when your console.logging, if you want to separate by comma, separating by comma will just automatically add the spaces in between for you. But if you're concatenating, you have to add the spaces manually. These spaces are added here, here, and here. You need to add them manually by yourself, like hard code the space. Do you understand?
okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you can do the same thing with map, right? Even let me just change this. Let me just change this to map at once. And let's run it. It still produces the same result, right? And let me just add that. So you see, I have this banana in here, I have this pear, right? You see, it produces the same results, but now you might reason that map is the same as for each, right? Because they act the same way. But then that is not true. Now let me tell you why. Note this: for each does not return any value. Map returns a value. Now, what do we even mean by this map returning a value and for each returning a value, right? Now, if you use map, you can return a value, right? Now, let's take for example, I want this sentence, right? But I want an array of this sentence to be produced so that I can use it for whatever I want to do, right? This is how I'll do it. I want an array of this sentence produced. So inside map, I'll do this. I'll just write return, then I'll paste that string there, right? And outside here, I can say const, I'll just say map sentence. Or map sentence is because it's going to it's going to return an array. If I log out these map sentences, right, and we come back here and run it, do you guys see something? I have this banana in. Now it's returning a new array. Now this map, the map doesn't modify the original array. This original array is still the same. There is no modification to it, right? So this map is going to produce a new array for you and give it to you like this as whatever you specify as the value. So you can say you can assign the map to a variable, right? But if you do the same thing with a function, sorry, with for each. Let me change this to for each. For each is not going to return any value. So if we run that, you see undefined. Because for each was designed not to return any value, right? It's not designed to return an array or anything to maybe a variable or whatever call it, right? But map returns a value. Map returns something. You see? So you have map sentences equals to this, and then if we come back here and run, we can get a map from that particular um, uh, function we wrote here. So does anybody understand what I'm saying so far? What's map and how a map is different from for each? Who doesn't understand?
I just want to
Hello?
ask a question, please.
Okay.
When you say it can return the value, map can return a value, do you mean more than once or just once?
Map returns a value once, but it returns an array as a value.
Okay.
Yeah, map just returns value. It returns once. If I clear this, if I clear that and I run the code again, you see, it returns this map sentence once, but it returns it as an array of sentences, right? Or an array of elements that I want to put. I can create another. In fact, I can create another object and then return that object to this map sentence. For example, I can do this. Um, this is what some people might want to do, right? Um, you can use this to let me add a value to a value to this fruits location to this fruit to each of these objects, right? Let's say um, what can I add there? We have the fruit name, we have the location, and um, let me just set all of them to being available, right? All of them should have the is available value, and it should be a boolean of true. So I could do something like this. I could say fruit dot is available should be equals to true. Now, writing this, right, is going to iterate through the whole object, each of the objects inside here, and is going to give it a new value of is available, right? It's going to give a new property of is available, and it's going to give it that the value of true. So if I come back here and I say node index, okay, that returns, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Sorry, this is what I'm supposed to do. Supposed to say fruits. It's available through. Okay, and I know people are going to ask, what did I write here, right? What did I write here? Okay, so and this is a spread. Yeah, this is a spread. So I'm trying to get all the values for the fruit, right? All the values that exist here in the fruit name and the fruit location. But after getting it, I'm saying is available as should be a new value that should be returned to with this fruit, right? And is available should have the value of true. Okay, but we are going to talk about this what spread and rest means, right, in another class. Okay, but this is just the basic concept. If you want to look through and add a value to all your objects, you can do it this way and say you just add dot dot dot, then the object name, and after that you can then do what you want. You can say like for example here we are saying is available is true. Okay, do you guys have any question? Okay, another way to do this would be like this. You'd say you'd say fruit dot is available should be equals to true. Then after that, you would return fruits. If you do this, it still gives us the same value. I think this is even a shorter way to do the same thing. So, okay, someone said, okay, that's this a spread operator. Okay, cool. Most times it's always hard to differentiate between both of them. But then, does anybody have any question? Who doesn't understand?
Sorry, I'm a bit confused since he introduced map, trying to understand how it works.
Okay, so now if you wanted to now, okay, compare the value of what we have here. Compare the value of what we have as the object inside this fruit array to what we
Yeah.
have down here. You see that here we have, let me pick the first value. Here we have banana as the fruit name, location, and as Rio
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
available is true, right? But here we don't have anything like is available, right?
Yeah.
Now, map is used to apply something to all the arrays, right? It's used to apply um is used to, should I say, it copies the array, the original array, right? And then modifies it and returns a new array, the new modified array. That's so take it like this. This fruits, right, is kind of copied, right, from these fruits, this array we have here. This function, this map function copies that fruit array. It modifies that fruit array by adding whatever I want to add, adding this property of is available, right? After adding that property, we then return Now, remember, this is an object, though. This fruit is an object. So we are just saying that object dot is available should be true. And after that, we return the full object, right? With that is um, um, the new modified object, right?
Yeah.
This is what is happening actually. Let me break it down, right? We get the value of we get this first value, right? This is how it's let me break it down. We have map sentence,
Yeah.
map sentences, right? Then we have this first, we have this um array. Let me see how I can shorten it. Mm, we have this map sentences, right? And then in the first iteration, it picks fruit name and location, right?
Yeah.
Then when it picks that fruit name and location and assign it to fruit, right? We now say fruit dot is available should be true. Let me just take this to the next line though. So at this point, before we do this, right? This is
Okay.
what is being picked first. Then when once we run this, right? Now remember that this map sentence first is empty, is not and is just a variable, right? Then when once we finish doing this,
Yeah.
when once we finish this code finish running, this is what happens. When that code finish running, this is what happens. We have the same fruit name and location, but then is available is added. So we now have is available, then it has the value of true for the first one, right? And then after this is available is added to the object, this whole object is then sent to this map sentences, which is this map sentences. So this map sentences now will equal to that. Okay,
Yeah.
let me remove the sidebar. So that's what happens first. At first, this map sentence was empty. It was, let's just say it's an empty array at first, right?
Hmm.
So now it has this value. Then in the second iteration, right? In the second iteration, what is being picked is pair, this pair,
Yeah.
right? Mhm. In the second iteration, it's this pair that is being picked.
Yeah.
So we picked that pair, and then this runs. So at this point, the value of fruit is going to be this object. Then we are now saying that fruit dot is available should be equals to true. So it's going to modify this array it has picked. It is going to modify it's going to modify this object it has picked.
And it's
It is going
available.
to now, yeah, it's going to add is available. Then after adding this is available, remember that after adding it, we are returning the whole object, which is this whole new object that we've modified.
Yeah.
When we push this object now, this object is going to be assigned. This object is going to be pushed into this map sentence array. So that's how this object now is now going to be added inside there, and so on and so forth. Then at the end of the day, after this the whole modifying and saving is done here, if we output these map sentences, it now gives us a new array, which is this one. Do
Hmm.
you get?
Yeah.
Now, this map sentences is a new array. It doesn't, the original fruits array is not affected. If let me output the map array, and then let me say um let me say fruits. Let me do this. Here I'll just say fruits array below. So if we print the two arrays, right?
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, okay. So the map array also modifies the original array and returns a new array.
Okay.
Okay, but but why is that happening? It isn't supposed to modify the original one. Okay, let me see. Let me test it this way.
So the spelling of your script is wrong.
You say? Hello, I didn't hear what did you say?
I said the spelling of your script in the script array before is wrong.
The spelling of what? Hello?
I think she's trying to correct the fruit. The dash dash that fruit is array below.
Okay. Let me try something. Let me try to return this fruits and then it's available of true. Okay, okay. This one doesn't change the value of the original array. Cool. This doesn't change the original value. But then if we said fruits dot is available and then we return fruits. Hmm. Wow. Okay. I guess I haven't even used this method before. I like using the spread method instead. So, but using this method is going to give us our desired result, right? If you are going to use the spread method, but if you are going to use the other method, which I showed you guys before, the first one where you say is fruit dot is array is actually going to modify the original array. Cool. Nice. Do you guys understand? Hello? Do you guys understand?
We understand.
So, so what? So
If
what I can? Okay.
okay, what are you trying to say?
All right. So this one I understand from this map and the other one is that it only makes some modifications and then returns what you just modified. Hope I'm correct on that, sir, because I'm seeing a whole lot of writings here which I don't understand anymore. But that's the point I just got from.
Yeah, now this particular one, this writing it this way, right? Writing it this way using your spread operator, right, it's going to return the it's going to create this new array that has your value, which is this is available, we are trying to assign it, which is true. It's going to like kind of create this object and add it to the array, this map sentence array, right? It's going to do that, right? But then your fruit is not going to be modified. This fruit is not going to be modified if you use this method. But then if you use the other method, it's going to modify your fruits array and what is returning, which is this one. Hello, are you guys following?
Yes, sir, I got there.
Who is confused?
I'm still confused though.
Okay, now this is what should confuse you, Sha. This dot dot is like saying, give me the values inside the fruit, not the object itself, not the whole object with the fruit. This dot 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 here is like saying, um, without this dot dot, you're saying, give me the object, right? But this dot dot is saying, give me the properties inside that object, not the object itself. So instead of it giving us the full object with the bracket, it is just going to return only the fruit name and location if we use this dot dot dot. Okay, that's why. Let me remove those three dots and then let me remove the spread operator and then run it again. Let's come back here. Do you notice this? Fruit now comes like this. It comes with fruit with this bracket with the fruit name and fruit location. But we only want fruit name, fruit location, and is available. We don't want this extra fruit. That's why we now put that spread operator. So if we run this again and come back here, it's fruit name, fruit location, and is available. It is not adding the whole object with everything that it comes with. It's just adding the value or the properties inside that object. So yes, so the array will be displayed. Yeah, the array will display now. See it here. Yes, but what we are trying to see is what we are doing. What we are doing, does it modify the original array? No, this method doesn't modify the original array, right? This map can be used if you want to modify an array, if you want to change something in an array, right? If you want to change the value or add a value to like all the let's say objects in an array or all the values inside an array, right? You can use the map to do that. So who is not understanding? Who doesn't understand?
So, sincerely speaking, this one it will demand some time. So that's to me, oh, that's to me. I really have to practice it. That's personally anyway.
Okay, you need to practice. All right, no problem. Cool. It's fine. It's fine. You might not get how
I
everything is
sincerely
working.
understand it at all.
You don't understand?
I don't.
Wow. Wow. Okay. 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 All right.
Please, I want to
Um
ask a question. Let me ask with my voice. This equals to um what's he said what's supposed to display, what's supposed to display there. This yes, this line is
No,
equal to equal fruit is array below. So what is supposed to be the content? That's what I want to know.
no. What I'm using this like this is just a normal console.log now. It's just I'm just using it to kind of separate, right? Separate the map sentence from the fruit so that we can see where this is just to indicate that the fruit array, this fruit array is what is going to be displayed below this line,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay, okay.
Then this map sentences here, this particular map sentences is the result of our map um, uh, um, array here, which is this map sentence. This is what
Sorry, map
this
is
map
a
sentence.
function, right?
Eh?
The map is a function.
Yeah, this is the map, right? You said the map
Yes,
is
it's a
what?
function. Yeah.
Yeah, the map is a function. Yes, you can call it a function. You can call it a method. Yes. So what this function does is it takes the original array that you're trying to iterate through. It
Mm-hmm.
modifies it based on how you want it to be, and then it creates a new array and adds what you've modified into that array and gives it back to you. Yeah, okay.
So I think what will make us to really understand the map function itself is like I wanted to know in what instance, like in real life, when you work in like what will prompt you to want to use map function, for instance. I think that will help in understanding it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Let's take for instance, right? Let's come here. Let me just set all these things to be false, right? Let me just give it an, let's say, now the reason for this map is that you want to do something to an array of things, but you you don't let's say you want to modify an array, but you don't want I don't know. Let me try to think of a scenario where you have to use it. You want to modify an array, but then you don't want to modify that particular array directly. You want to create a new array from that modification, right? And let's take for example, um, let's take for example, all the fruits here cost 500 naira. But let's say after creating this array, you didn't remember to add that all of them cost 500 naira. You just put their fruit name and their location, right? But then you don't want to modify this particular one, abi? You want to create another new fruit array that has the price, right? So you can call this like let me call this fruit prices or fruit with prices, right? I want all of them to be 50 naira, so I could just do something like this. I'll say the fruit should still remain, right? I just need the value of the fruit, which is the fruit name and the fruit location. But then I want the price of all the fruits to be 500 naira. Or let's say each of them. Now, let me remove this part. Let me remove this one. Let's just focus on the map alone now. I'll copy fruit with prices and I'll paste it here. Then let's come back here. Now, if I write node index, do you notice that it has added prices to
Yes.
all of the
Yes.
fruits? You've noticed that. Now, let's check the original. Now, this fruit with prices is another array entirely. Remember that this is a variable. Oh. This is another variable. Now, remember that we still have fruits as a variable here, Abi. If you log out the value of fruits, let's do this. Let me just say, I'll just say value for fruits, then I'll put comma and I'll write fruits. Then here I'll just say I'll say value of fruits with prices. So if we look on our console, do you notice that we have two arrays? This first one, which is the value of the fruits with prices, has the fruit name, the fruit location, and the price, all of them being 500. But look at this other one here, the one that is just with only fruits. It has fruit name and it has fruit location. You notice that there is no price here. Do you guys now understand it?
Yeah, yeah. It's a bit clear now.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so you can use map to modify, you can use map to create a modification, a new modification of your array.
Hmm.
The, yeah, you can use it to create a new. Now you see, we still have the same array, but we've added something to it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We can delete something from it. For example, if I want that all these fruits, like all these fruits, right, that the the location shouldn't show. Okay, I want that the location shouldn't show. I could do this. So I could do this. So let me just do it the other way. I would say delete fruit dot location, and then after that I want to return, that fruit. Oh, it affects all of them. Okay, even if I did that, it is still, we can just return fruits at once. Okay, the two of them are going to be the same. Now, the reason why they are the same is that using fruits directly like this, using fruits without using the spread operator is going to modify the original array and also give you a new array too with with the same value.
Okay.
Do you understand it now?
Yeah, pretty much
There is
perfect.
a, yeah, sure. So you can use this way to, you can remove things um from
Array.
your, yeah, you can remove it from the objects inside the array. Remember that this is not just us just working with um arrays. Now we're working with array
Oh,
of objects, right? So
yeah.
you can use this to delete stuff inside and delete properties inside an array of objects.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So and this is another way of deleting. I think this is going to work out. I think you just say um you could say new fruit. Um oh, sorry. I know this is going to be a bit confusing. Fruits, new fruits. Then I would say dot 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 fruits, and then I would say um what is it? I think it's fruit name. Let me try this way out. Although, okay. Okay, sorry, this is not going to work out. I can't remember how that's being done. But the simplest way to do it would just be to delete what you want, fruit the location, and then you can return back fruit as that, and you get your result. Is there any question? Hello?
Let's go on, sir. We'll catch up after much practice.
You say?
We'll catch up with practice.
Okay, cool. All right, no problem. Let's continue. Let's continue. Okay. So the next topic we want to look at is filter. Right? Let's look at how to filter. Of course, as the name implies, when you're filtering something, you're removing uh, unwanted, what do I put it? Unwanted values, right? From what you're filtering. For example, let's say I have three, I want to pick fruits where the location is Lagos, right? Where the location has to be Lagos. This is a simple way to do it, right? If I want to filter by, or let's say, this is another way of even deleting from an array, right? You can do this. If you want to filter, you say, now, filter is also going to return a new array. So you can say const new fruits should be equals to, then you then say fruits dot filter. Then inside here you say fruit. Now, this filter, you have to also return something when you're filtering, right? Now, what you have to return here is the condition that has to be met for for a value to be accepted. For example, if I want to filter, if I want to filter and remove any fruit where the location of that fruit is Lagos, this is how I would do it. I would say filter where fruit dot location is not equals to Lagos. Now, this new fruit is going to return an array just the same way as map returned an array. But now it's going to return an array that doesn't have this particular fruit, this particular, let's
Okay.
say this particular object.
Okay.
Yes, so you can use it to filter out things, let's say values from an object or from an array, sorry. So if we do this, if we say console.log new fruits, then we come back here. Sorry, I didn't return this. We come back here. Now, do you notice that Lagos is not part of the result we have? Hello, you notice
Okay.
that, yeah, you notice that Uyo Cross River and Kaduna is there, but then Lagos is not there. That's because of this condition, right? So what happened here is, at first, it's when the first iteration of this filter runs, right? It checks, is the location of this first one, is it true that the location of this first value is not Lagos? It's true that the location is not Lagos. It's going to pick that one and keep it somewhere. You're going to check, is the location of this one Lagos? Is Lagos? We don't need that one. It's going to discard it. You check, is the value here Cross River? Is the value here of the location Lagos and not Lagos? Yeah, it's not. It's true that it's not Lagos. Okay, we pick it. We keep it somewhere. Is the value of this also not Lagos? Yes, the value is not Lagos. Then it will pick those ones that it has picked now. It will then give it to you back as an array. So the one that has the value of Lagos, it is not going to pick it. Remember, we are checking where the value is not Lagos. Okay, but if we did equals to, it will only return the one with Lagos for us, because that is what we said. We are saying we want to filter, we want to check this array, but we want to check the array where the value, right, is Lagos. So if it's not Lagos, we discard it. If it's Lagos, we keep it. But here I'm doing the opposite. I'm saying if it's Lagos, discard it. If it's not Lagos, keep it. Do you guys understand that one?
Yes. So you it removes the location and the fruit name are all together.
You said?
I say it will remove both the location and the fruit name together.
Yeah, it will remove the object that contains that fruit name and location altogether. So this returns a new array to you. You can then use this new array to do whatever you want to do. You see. Now, a real life scenario of how this thing is being used is, if you're building, maybe let's say you're building maybe a website that's on the front end, right? You want to have something like categories. Maybe if it's a food website, you want to have a category of small chops, you want to have a small category for fruits, you want to have a category for maybe intercontinental dish, right? You can give all of your fruits as an array a category, right? A category property. So the category can be, okay, I think we can do it here self. Let's try it out. Okay. So we just say, I'll just call this foods. I don't know if there's anything like foods. Is there anything like foods? You can say food name. Food name should be I don't know, um burger. Then the category should be I don't know,
Confectionery.
confectionery. Am I? Is that the spelling?
I guess so.
Food name. Is Gary also confectionery?
Gare is swallow.
Okay.
Classes, food classes.
Ca- for Gary.
Please, I want to ask a question. You are ending it with comma. Is it not supposed to be semicolon?
Okay. Now, an object, you use comma to separate an object, not semicolon. This is
Okay,
an object. Yes. So you use,
okay.
yeah, you use comma, not semicolon. So the food name could be uh which other thing is swallow abeg? Okay, so you have fufu category swallow. Now if we want to get only swallow, right, this is what we are going to write here. We would say foods here, but then inside here we say want to get food. But what are we returning? We want to return food, where the food dot category should be equals to swallow. If you do that and we clear here and then we come here and run node index, You see that it returns all of them that has the category of swallow. Of course, if we want confectionery, right? We'll just use that there and it's going to return only confectionaries. But what if you also want to return anything that is not swallow, right? Anything that is not swallow, whether it's confectionery, whether it's whether it's small chops, whether it's big chops. I don't know if big chops exist, but then you can do this, right? And then if you run the code now, you see that it returns every other thing except confectionery. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes,
Sir, please,
Yeah.
what is the significance of the equals to and greater sign?
You say
When you're writing your code, what is the significance of this equals to and greater sign, please?
equal. Okay, sorry. I'm already. So instead of that, just write function that way. Sorry. I didn't talk about arrow functions. Sorry, I didn't talk about arrow functions. So there are functions and there are arrow functions. I guess in our next class I'm going to really break down what functions, arrow functions. There are different kinds of functions, right? They this is a this is a callback function and is also an anonymous function. It's something really interesting we are going to do in our next class. I'll break down how functions are used, what functions are, and everything. But now, for now, just understand that this is how like you write your filter statement, right? Then from there, I will talk about functions, and then we'll see how functions work, how they are being used to do a lot of things. Okay. Yeah. So is there any other question? Yeah. Is there any other question? Hello.
Sir,
no question, sir.
hello, sir.
Okay, no question. Cool. No
Hello.
problem. Yeah? Yes, I can hear you.
I could recall at first you were writing all this. You use array in
Mm-hmm.
in declaring your this. Can I say your variables? Why is it
Mm.
necessary in this in this one that you are doing to bring in an object?
Okay, let's use a normal array. Let's use a normal array. So let's say Victor, let me use people's name. Victor Emmanuel, George, Kelvin. Okay. Let me just say class names, right? Let me just call it class names. Now, I want to get, let's say I want to get every other person whose name is not Victor in a, let's say for example, I have students, but I want to get every other person's name whose name is not Victor, right? How do I do that? I'd come here, I'd say class names. Then inside here, I'll just pass class names in singular, right? Then I'll say, now, when you want to do this, you just say where the class name is not equals to Victor, right? You want to get every other person whose name is not Victor, right? Or whose the value is not Victor, for example. So if we want to run that, we clear that and write node index. You see that we have Emmanuel, George, and Kelvin, right? Victor is not included there because of how we are filtering it. Now, you can filter an array of strings. You can filter an array of numbers. You can map an array of strings, and you can map an array of numbers. You can map it's not just limited to objects, right? I wanted to use objects because I wanted real life examples, right? But then you can filter an object, you can filter a string, right? It's not just limited to only objects or array of objects. You can filter an array of strings. Okay. Any other question? Did I answer your question, Mr.
No,
Eshet?
sir. Excuse me. What I mean is, can you classify them like when you did Mango, Sokoto? this thing, understand? You said you classify them like mango can be finished, Sokoto, all those things. So these are just,
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if you get me.
Let me use what you're trying
Like
to say is
two
let me.
variable in a class, understand? Location and
Hmm.
as you did in the other stuff.
So let me make it as an object. Hello. Should I
Right?
make each of the values here an object?
Okay,
Please,
you cannot do it with array unless you turn to an object.
No, you can I just map through
please,
an array of strings.
there's something I'm seeing here. This new fruit, why is it still functioning in this mode?
Yeah, because new fruit is what I'm logging out.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's why it's still working. I'm supposed to say maybe new names or new names, and then here I'll just say new names, right? It still works out because that's what I'm logging out.
Okay,
And
okay,
yeah,
okay.
sure. Any other question? Mr. Eshet, I am not really getting what you're saying I should do.
Let me get to, let's practice that. We'll do more of that.
Okay, all right, no problem. That's fine. Okay, then um, we talked about, so anybody has any issue with the filter statements? Nobody. Okay, then we should then go into while and do while and see how both of them, uh, the difference between both of them. Shall we? Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go on.
Yes, we shall. Let's go on, sir.
Okay. All right. No problem. Okay. So while and do while are different, right? Even with for, because of how they are being written. Okay. Now, if you are going to use a for loop, right, you always have a boundary where you want to stop, right? But in while loop, it's optional for you to declare it, right? It's not necessary. It's not. You don't need to declare. Sorry, you don't need to declare a start and an increment in a while loop. But you can do it. But it's not required for you to do. For example, a for loop. Let me still go back to for. If I want to count from 1 to 10, what will I do? For let I equals to 1, where I is less than 11, I plus plus, right? And then if I want to log out, I'll say console.log I. If I run that, yeah, you're going to see we have 1 to 10, right? The same way I did this, I could also do this in a while loop, right? Okay, I could do, so if I want to do the same thing in while loop, this is what I'll write. I'll say let I equals to 1. Um, give me some time. Let me do something. Let me close the door. The noise is too much. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Okay, so this is how you do it. While I is equals to, so you say while I is less than 11, while I is less than 11, then you then say um console.log I, then say I plus plus. Now, this is the same way of doing this same thing with a while loop, right? If you run it, you see that it counts from 1 to 10. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? Now, while loop only accepts the condition to which has to be true for the while loop to keep running. The rest of the your start and incrementing your value is up to you. You can write a while loop that doesn't increment anything. It depends on you, okay? And you can easily run into an infinity loop. If you don't write your while loop properly, you can run into an infinity loop or an infinite loop. Now, what is an infinite loop? An infinite loop is a loop that doesn't have any end, right? It just keeps running like that. Now, if we want to loop through an array, let's say our normal array, let me go back to uh, these class names, right? I want to use a while to loop through these class names, right? This is how I'll do it. I would say while first I would say let I, and people that see I use I just is used popularly. It just means iteration. Why the iteration is zero. And you can use any number you want to use. You can use J, you can use K, whatever. But they are mainly used. And also note something. You can nest loops. You can nest loops. That is another thing we are going to look into very well. How to nest loops. That have to have a loop inside another loop, right? Now we have that. We can say while I is less than class class names, right? We would say console.log class names at I, and then after that we would write I plus plus. Now if we run this code, sorry, class names dot length, sorry. If we run this code now, you see that it prints out Victor, Emmanuel, George, and Kelvin. Okay, so you can do the you can use a for loop, you can use a while loop, right? But now there's a difference between a while loop and a do while loop too. I hope, does anybody have any question with how the while loop runs? Anybody?
Yeah, sorry. You said while while loop you can have um a while loop without increment.
Yeah.
Does that also apply for a for loop?
Um. So if you're writing a for loop, right?
Yeah.
I haven't used it before without an increment, but I am not sure. I can't tell you specifically.
Okay. Sorry.
I
And
think it's
something
not
else.
required there. I think there's a way to actually write it without using the let I is equals to zero, I plus plus, like the whole stuff there. There's a way.
Sorry. Another thing I wanted to ask is in a statement, for instance, what informs my choice of whether to use a while loop or a for loop in a statement?
Okay, you would use a for loop if you're looping through to a finite maybe a finite number of times, right? Like a specific number of times, right? You can use a for loop, but then you can also do the same thing with a while loop. But one thing you might want to use a while loop to do is you might use a while loop to run a code until a certain condition is met. Like for example, if I want to generate 20 random numbers between let's just say 20 random numbers that are now less than 10 in value, right? I
Yeah.
can't use a for loop to do that, right? Because a for loop will just run maybe I'll say it should run 100 times, and then or let's say I make a for loop to run 20 times, right?
Yeah.
That whole 20 times, it's possible that it's going to generate a number that is less than 5, and then that number doesn't make it to the list I want to use, right? But if I'm using a while loop, I can say while the length of the array that I want to store my values is less than 20, keep generating random number and check if they are up to, or the random number is less than 5. If it's less than 5, just generate another random number, and each time that the value of that random number generated is 5 itself, push it to an array, and then as far as that array's length is less than 20, just keep generating random numbers and adding. So when once the length of that array is 20, stop generating random numbers. You see, if we do that now, we are not looping to a finite, a finite, like a specific number of times. We are looping based on the fact that this is true that the length of that array is less than 20, for example. So, but if the length of that array is 20, then the loop will stop. So it doesn't matter, even if we run that loop, and it might run like 200 times, as far
Yeah.
as that array is not up to maybe 20 random numbers, right, that meet a condition. Once that maybe the array reaches that number, right, you can do something. Then another use of while is you can create a game that does something over and over again, right? Even if you fail, even if you win on the game, it just it continues, right, until you break out of the game, right? So you can use a while loop to do that. So
Okay.
in a way, it's this is also a hint to your assignment. If you're going to do that, you're going to you have to use a while loop somewhere in that your assignment.
Hmm.
So I've given you guys another little hint about what you're supposed to do on your assignment. So the while is
I'm
just
coming.
going. You can use the while loop there. Okay, now have I answered your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have another question?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, cool. All right. So then now notice if this while loop is false. Let's take for example that nothing happens, right? Nothing happens. But what if I wanted something to happen at least? Okay, if this while loop is, if this loop, if the condition for this loop is false, at least run this code once. But if the condition is true, right, then just run the loop normally. How would I write that, right? Now, that's where a do while loop will come up. For example, um, what I want to do now is, in this situation, I could say the if I is greater than the class, this class name dot length, right? That at least you should output Victor, right? But then if it's less than, then we should output the other values. Now that's where a do while loop will come. So this is how you write a do while loop. You say do, then you write your block of code there. So what is my block of code, right? My block of code will be to console.log um, class names at I, right? Then after that, I'll do I plus plus. But then after the do, we want to check what is our condition. We now say we want to do that after doing it while I is less than class names dot length. We want to do that. So if I run this now, it still prints Victor, Emmanuel, and George. But if the condition evaluates to false at the beginning, at least it would have printed Victor. Okay, so do while does something, right? If the condition is true, it will run as a normal like while loop, right? But then if the condition is false, it would have at least done that thing once. It's like me telling someone, um, it's like saying, start the gen, right? Let's say a generator is not on. I say start the gen, but while after drawing it that first time, it doesn't start. Keep drawing it. But if you draw it that first time and it starts, just stop. Kind of similarly to how that works, but here we are checking for a condition. But in do while, we don't check for the condition first. We do something before checking for the condition. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yeah, but what's the significance of do while actually? Once you have to
Basically,
do something like, because from the example you just cited, it printed only Victor. So which means it just did one action, for instance, instead of looping through all um the names.
yes, yes. So this you might want to do. Okay, look at this. What if, okay, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Um, what if I wanted to say, um, what if I wanted to say, if the condition is false, let this code only greet me. But then, if the condition is true, let it greet everybody, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So I would say, maybe good morning, right? Good morning, Victor, because it's this is false, right? But at least greet the first person alone. But then if we change that to a less than and we run it again, it's kind of greets everybody. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Emmanuel. Good morning.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's you can use it to make an action, right? If something is false, at least just make that action once, right? Just do that action once. But if the condition is true, just do the action for a till something gets to false,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So this good morning now is going to, since this is true, this this code is going to run until this line of code becomes false.
Yeah.
But if I change this here, this means that from the start, this is already false.
False. Yeah.
So, so since this is already false, it's going to run this block of code once. Then after running it once, it doesn't continue because this is false actually.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. I get it.
Okay. Does any other person have any question? Who else has question? Any other person has a question to ask? Everybody's following, right? Hello.
Please,
Yeah.
so what I want to ask,
Yes,
maybe I'm
yes.
sure that with time I will digest it. This do while loop is almost looking like a while loop from what I'm seeing, because if you give do a condition, let me just say, as long as this condition is true, let's let's let the console print out some things. That means
Yeah.
it wouldn't run once. It will keep running, isn't it? Until that
If this,
condition has been met.
yeah,
Think, let me
if
give an
no,
instance. If you want them to print, so long as you say good morning, let class a class name continue to show up. I'm just trying to look for the right word. Maybe you have put a word in good morning. So long as there is good morning, let the console continue to print out the content of something. Does it mean that this do, once this condition has been given, it will keep running until that condition has been met, then it will stop?
see, now there's a difference between while and do while. Let me take this now. Let me change this to a while loop and explain something to you. Now, this is a while loop, okay? This, if that condition is true, it brings out good morning to everybody. If this condition is false, it doesn't print out anything. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Now, it's not printing a condition, it's not printing anything because this is false, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is how a while loop works. While loop only runs your function, your code, while like when the condition is true. If the condition is false, it will not even run this block of code from the start. It won't even run it even once
Mm-hmm.
if this is false. But if this is true, if what you're checking here, your condition is true, it's going to run it perfectly till it becomes false. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But in do while, if the condition is false, it is going to still run the code, but it's going to run it once. But now, this is how do while works. Do while doesn't come and check the condition first. Do while
Okay.
runs the code first before even coming to check if the condition is true. But while checks the condition first before it even starts running your code.
Okay. Okay. I think I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, while it's going to first check is this condition true. If it's not true,
Okay. Okay.
it just leaves the whole while and goes on. It goes and maybe
Okay.
it runs another code. But do
Okay.
while is going, yeah, but do while is going to come and say, oh, we've reached here. Just do this first. It's just like saying someone did something, right? You reach and you go to the person, and the first thing for you to do is to land the person's slap before asking what happened, before you even know who is correct or who is wrong, or who is right or who is wrong. That's how do while works. Do while just it runs the
I get.
your block of code first before checking. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes. Yes. I get it now.
Now, if what you put here is false, at least it has already run this once before even coming to check if it's false. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But in this at this but if the condition is true here, it's going to run everything, like it's going to continue running this loop till this condition becomes false. But if this condition is false, it has already run this one at first. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Any other person having has an issue? Someone wanted to ask a question before. All right. So there is no question, right? Hello.
No questions, sir.
No questions. Yeah, we'll learn it very well with time.
No question.
Okay. All right. So in the absence of any question, thank you for joining today's class. Thank you for coming. Right? I think I should just put that slide up. All right. So in the absence of questions, thanks a lot for coming to today's class. If you still have questions while you're trying to uh, practice, right? While you're trying to practice, while you're trying to um, understand how all this stuff, what I've taught works. If you have any question or any issues, you can always drop it on the Node.js channel, right? Or you can drop it there, because if I say reach out to me, right, two people might ask similar questions, and then so just drop it on the group, right? Hello, just drop it on the group if you have any question, okay? And see you on Thursday. All
Yeah,
right, bye
sorry,
bye.
Mr. Victor, sorry.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you.
I was going to ask for the LMS, right? The
Okay,
first assignment you put there, the I think you asked for the difference between var, let, and const.
yeah,
I've submitted that, but it's still showing not still showing submitted. Nothing like I was hoping to see the new one, the last one you updated, like the types of
okay.
game. Well,
Yeah,
I've not been
did
able to see it, so I don't know if it's a problem from my end or what.
okay. Did because there are some people that I needed access to view their documents. Did you make your documents uh, open to anybody that has the link to view it? Because
Yes, yes, I
that's the
suppose.
issue.
I suppose I.
Okay, okay. If I'll check back on the LMS, and then if I see, I'll check for your name, and then if I see it and I'm
I
able to
thought he
view it,
said
I'll grade you.
the second assignment is not showing on his own.
Yeah, that might be because his first assignment he has not been
And
graded on it.
it's from
It's also
maybe
my
their
own.
personal, because
I
my own is
granted
showing.
access. I granted access, sir, to my own file.
Okay, all right, no problem. If you've granted access, then I'm going to check it one more time, and then I'm going to grade you guys. Okay, that's not an issue.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank
And
you, sir.
also,
Yeah.
sir, please, I want to ask a question. Based on the second assignment, the second task, are we to use the GitHub? And if we are to use that, I tried signing up for the Git to have a Git account, but yet I posted that on the platform, and
Yeah. Did you check your email? They
yes,
usually that to
was
verify
sent.
your email.
Nothing
Yeah.
was sent.
Did you check your spam folder, your spam folder, your email?
Yes, I did, and I don't receive any email.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Try.
sorry, sir. Sorry for more clarity on what she said. I'm also kind of because what I did on the first quiz, I guess where I used Google Documents, so I just
Okay.
copied. I just granted. The second one, I guess, what we're going to be submitting is the code. Is it the code itself, or for those who would push to GitHub, you have to like submit the your GitHub link or something. I that's what because I'm
Yes,
confused about that.
it's going to be your GitHub link. Yes, definitely, it's going to be your GitHub link. The link to, and make sure you make your repository public, right? Then if you're submitting a REPL, then just send the link to the REPL. I'll be able to run the code when once I see the link.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so
Otherwise,
you
I can just use GitHub link straight on.
you can use GitHub. Yes, you can use GitHub. You can submit the link to the GitHub to me, or to the
I
LMS.
can't
Yes,
access
on the LMS.
GitHub, sir.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. Thank you.
Please, I want to ask something, Victor. That GitHub link, before you use it,